Testing, testing. Is that better, Joe? We have sound? I've got sound on my part. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Uh-oh. I've got sound on my end. How about now? There? Sound? Sound? Yeah, hear you now? Okay, perfect. I don't know what happened there. A little technical difficulty. Sound? Perfect. Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Josh. It's been a long day already. Lots going on, lots busy. Like I feel behind a little bit on some things, so I'm kind of grinding through all that, trying to get it done. I think with this big Flex launch, I think the whole team has been really working hard, and we're kind of like catch our breath a little bit here. So it has been a grind, and I just want to say to all of you, we appreciate all the positive feedback we've been getting with the software. We hope you guys are doing really well with it, making lots of money, saving lots of time. That's what it's all about. So for those of you who are new, my name is Josh, and what I'm talking about is List Easier. And I am an entrepreneur. I am the co-founder of List Easier, both the software and the document, the $100 million worth of listed inventory business. And that is what is happening behind me here. So you can see these items all going up every single day, every weekday. We're listing items and we're building this business. We're showing everyone what's possible with the software, and we're doing it ourselves, hopefully to realize, a passion that we all have to build this big e-commerce business. So if you're new here, the people in the chat are operators, they're founders, they're entrepreneurs, they're resellers, really running the gambit of, self-employed people. Oh, I should turn off John, no, your mic is off again. I got it, John. Thank you, though, John. I appreciate you. John is looking out for me here with the microphone. I appreciate you, John. Thank you for that. And we are going to record the Profit Playbook podcast after this. So, what is new? This is what we always talk about. What is new? I think for all of us, all the founders, we kind of took the morning and we talked about a bunch of different things, but I think ultimately what resonates is how grateful we all are for all of you. And we kind of just took that moment to, and I think we all realize like this is an incredible journey that we're on, and really kind of thankful for the way things are going. That's really the big change, is just taking some time and just talking about how grateful we are for all of you and all the input you give us back. That's what makes the software incredible, is that it's just not, the 3 or 4 of us, it's a community, which is awesome. So that is really the only change over the past 24 hours. And I do want to put this out there. My co-founders have been working extremely hard. They're working around the clock. They work through Christmas. And, those guys are like brothers, right? So it's really something else. It really is something else. And I'm very grateful for them both. That being said, let's move on. The numbers. We come here to talk about the numbers as well. The numbers for the document, the road to 100 million. 100 million worth of listed inventory. We have 2 accounts, List Easier Records, or List Easier _records, and List Easier _books. You can go to eBay, you can follow us. We're listing constantly on those sites. So just go to eBay, search that seller, I think colon, and then you can put List Easier _books or List Easier _records. Follow us. Hold us to account. Lots of people do. They watch, they ask questions, all these things. How many listings? 5,520 listings. That is amazing, because that has all been done in 18 days. And the person responsible for this is Spencer the Oracle. Truly an oracle. It's incredible what she's doing. Very grateful and thankful for her as well. $123,794.80 worth of product listed. I don't think we are quite through the records yet, but I do think that big record buy will yield Around $150,000 worth of listings. So this is a great start. This is an incredible start. Very happy with the way things are going. 18 days live, and of course, revenue $4,176.78 of revenue. Charlie, if you're out there, Lou, if you're out there, we have not received payment yet. But I will say, we've run into issues with the document. That's what we call this $100 million business, this $100 million worth of listed inventory. It is the document because we are documenting it. We've run into a lot of different issues. Our integration with eBay hasn't been one of them. eBay has been incredible. They've held us to account, as they should. They want us to give them all the documentation that is necessary for us to move forward with our corporation listing on eBay. I think they've done an incredible job. It's been very seamless, so I only have good things to say about them. I will say the same thing about software, the integrations through the production API. That's for List Easier software. They have been absolutely incredible. They've worked with us. We've notified them of issues, and they've come back and said, yeah, we see it, we're working on it, and they come to resolution. They have given us great access. They audit us to make sure that we're doing all the things that we say we're doing and that we're operating above board. So they have been an incredible partner, and very thankful for them. So really, I guess the theme, I should change it. The theme is just gratefulness. I'm very grateful for everything that's happened and for all of you. So that's my big thing. That's my big thing today. I'm going to skip all the muteds, everyone. I apologize for the sound. I think what happened was I didn't put the microphone away yesterday. It's been so busy that I forgot to put it away. And then it just didn't work. I had to replug it in and do blah, blah, blah. But it's all working now. We're good. Everyone can hear me. We have sound. And we are moving down the list to Joe Samart says hello. Megan Farrell says hello. Axe Monkey Tammy says hello. Big Dre says hello. Eric Gunta says hello. Lead Belt Emporium says hello. Where Pigs Fly Farm says hello. MK3914 says hello. Big Dre says hello. Like Seller says good morning and hello. And Classic Phase says hello. Says heart, hand, star, and love emojis. Classic Phase. Good to see you. Rob Special Interest says hello, Josh. The face. Biff Boffo, welcome. Good to see you. Biff Boffo says, also mild-eyed melancholy says, in percentages, what is your projection of monthly revenue based upon total value listed? Biff, that's hard to say right now. Let me answer that question because it's a good one like this. I think that for the first 6 weeks, we operate at a loss. We are, I think, 3 weeks into that. Yeah, we're the third week, so probably somewhere in the middle of February, we'll start breaking even. We're kind of broken even already, to be honest with you, as far as the total buy is concerned, and the cost of labor. So we've pretty much broken even with that, but we have other residual costs. We just bought shelving, which wasn't cheap. We're getting some boxes and all this other stuff. So we are going to operate at a loss for probably 6 weeks. That's what I'm expecting. And then the next 6 months after that will probably be at around a break-even point. That's what we're expecting. That is conservative, but also I think those are excellent estimates. Very, very happy with that because the scale is so quick. We also, for the first 2 or 3 weeks now, for the first 3 weeks, like we have not received a payment from eBay because we've been going through all this verification. So the verification has taken us a while. We have had some issues with a couple of missed scans inside the mail system. So there's that as well, which is kind of bungling things up a little bit. Again, that's all outside of our control. Like we ship on time and everything else. So while all these things are happening, we're not receiving payments, but I think it's going to be 6 weeks of losses, but very minor, not crazy amounts of money. And then I think you'll really start seeing it take off. We are going to move, I think, within the next few days, we'll probably move towards books. Then we have back into media, and then we have the big haul coming in. And I think you'll start seeing stabilized revenues. Um, I don't want to project big revenues like we're going to sell 20, 30% because we do sell a lot of one-off unique items. There, in our store, it's a lot of antique, rare one-off items, some common items, some extremely rare items. And I think that, it's very hard to project the revenues on that right now with the verification issues and the new account and everything else. We need to stabilize a little bit to see clearly. The only thing that we can control is really this number, right? The listed amount. So we search for the best inventory we can get, and that's primarily being done through large deals. So we have built a great relationship with someone who also processes huge amounts of inventory. So they are in inventory. They have excess inventory, which they're willing to sell to us wholesale. We're kind of working with them, and I think that's going to really be a big partnership for us. So as far as projected revenues, give me a few months. Let's let things stabilize. Let's see where we're at because we're still so young. The business is, days live. We're not even 18 days in. Why are the numbers like that? Because it's the 22nd of, because we started on the 5th, of course. We started January 5th. So we're not even 3 weeks into it yet. So it's, we're still in the early, we've just been born. You know what I mean? We're up the first rung of the ladder. We still have, 100 stories to go. I think we said 0.1% of the way there. 0.1% of the way there. But keep going, Biff. I feel like if you've got questions today, Biff, if you're in the mood, send them. Because I feel like answering these kind of questions today. I'm in the mood for it. So hit me up with it. I'm in the mood today. I feel good about it. I'm in a very position of being very grateful today. Mike Seller says they're forecasting -20 tomorrow morning. I hate winter. I know. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time in Florida. I probably could have used it. Like I could probably use 2 weeks right now of just like solitude, but it's not going to happen yet. It won't happen quite yet. Maybe as we get into the spring a bit more. Spam Banshee says, aloha. Aloha, Spam. Good to see you. Eric Bressy says, good afternoon from Ohio. Was just listening to a podcast about the future of search. Apple and Gemini working together for Siri 2.0 is amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're starting to see more customization of search. This is something that I want to give credit to Primo Chemo and Spam Banshee for talking about, and that is AIO, or artificial intelligence optimization. I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritties of it because it's outside of my wheelhouse, but I think over time we'll start seeing search. I think we'll start seeing search changing and being more and more and more customized to the individual as the AI gets to understand or learn about the person and what they're interested in. And we already see that with ads. I don't know about all of you, but sometimes when I'll have a conversation with someone and I'll be like, I'd love to go to Paris. I'd love to go to the Louvre. Like I would just love to go visit there. I can't do it. But, because I looked at flight prices, it's like $1,600. But, if it was under $1,000, I might go. Like we have that kind of conversation. And then next time I go onto Google, it's like flights to Paris, $999. I'm like, how? That's not coincidence. It heard me say that. It must have. So I think that is going to get more and more kind of integrated into your everyday search. Lou Coins, message retracted, message retracted. Dun, dun, dun. What was said? J.R. Rodeffer says, listings reset today. Perfect timing. And I am off to the races, shooting for 2,000 listings in the next 30 days. I'm a little slower on bulk listings since I curate each item for max selling price. Well, J.R. Rodeffer, if you're listing $2,000 or 2,000 items a month, I don't know what your selling price is, But even at $20, it's 40,000 a month. 400, 400 and $480,000, $500,000 worth of listings every single year. That's no, let's not downplay what you're doing here. That's pretty incredible. So good for you, JR. That's awesome. Biff says, as I've grown my store to 40,000 items over the years, I found that I could never pin down a reliable percentage of revenue based upon total value listed. Biff, it's interesting. I can talk about my own store. Despite, you know what, in and around the 13th or whatever, 10th to 13th of January, I was having this kind of down moment in my store, my own personal store, which I haven't listed in since October. My sales have been relatively steady the whole way through. When I was at, it's better than when it was when I had 10,000 items in the store, but at 40,000 items, it's better. The items are still great. But I'm still selling nonstop all the way through. So it's really hard to say. I don't really know. Sometimes I wonder, this is my own opinion, does the age of the account have anything to do with it? Like, all these different things. I don't really know, but I would say that it's really hard. It's really hard to pin that down. I would like to get stable first. So I don't feel that this business is stable yet because we're still waiting for a lot of things to come through with verification and everything else. But once we stabilize, our revenue stabilize, I mean, for us, anything over the threshold is pure profit. So, and we are almost at the threshold right now, the earning threshold. Everything above that is pure profit. So it can only increase. And I want to head something else off at the pass. This is something I was thinking about yesterday. It feels like in this community right now, you have the replenishable private label, white label versus the resellers, the one-offs. You can do both. That if that opportunity came, or we were, because there are parts of this warehouse we don't show, right? And there's a reason. There is private label here. But that is just all part of it. So if we see those opportunities, if we suss out those opportunities, we take those opportunities too. There's no restriction on sales. It's all there. It's all of it. So the either you're this or you're that, it's a weird, it's a kind of weird dichotomy that's happening right now, because we have found that both have been very profitable for us, very profitable and very scalable with the software now. I got to remember, Amazon started as a bookstore in someone's garage. So did Music Magpie, Thrift Books, Second Sale, ThreadUp, all these things, right? They all started, Rick Probstein, they all started in garages and basements. Lucky Finds says, good morning. Keep it going with List Easier. Everything is possible. Thank you, Lucky Finds. I appreciate you very much. Bearded Picker Scott says, good morning, Josh. Good morning to you, Scott. Good to see you here. Kaloop says, so glad List Easier lets me diversify from my Amazon FBA into eBay to reduce the risk of losing my Amazon account, something every Amazon seller is always worried about. Every Amazon seller I've ever spoken to says that when they open their email in the morning after they wake up, there's a little bit of trepidation as to whether or not they've been suspended or banned. Like they walk the knife's edge all the time. As I can fall back on a new time-efficient eBay, thank you so much for giving me the chance. Kaloop, keep grinding. It's all you. Good tools with a bad operator still has a bad outcome. Good tools with a good operator has a good outcome. Good tools with a great operator has a great outcome. We talked about this a little bit on the Profit Playbook podcast, but if you are a carpenter, you can have the best tools that exist. But if you are not a good carpenter, the work is still going to look awful. So The best is great tools with great operator. Enlist Easier is a great tool, and you are a great operator. Mike Seller says, will the new eBay policies regarding AI affect things? No. So believe it or not, that policy update, John, I'll give him full credit for that. John talked about a new update that eBay rolled out. So there honestly isn't much different as far as the AI thing is concerned. So there were two major things in that rollout. One of them was AI, and we're going to talk about that. And the second part had to do with litigation and lawsuits. So the litigation lawsuit, class action lawsuit thing, I think that was the meat and potatoes of it. Nothing really changed with the AI part of it. So the AI portion of the release is they don't want bots scraping the website. They don't want people who are using the test or devs API, as far as I understand, using these programs to scrape their site. This has always been a no-no. So eBay has always enforced this. It's always been a no-no. It's a little bit of whack-a-mole because a lot of the companies or people that are doing this, they may not be eBay sellers. Like, it's really hard to stop them. They're using VPNs and all these other stuff. So, but this has always been the case with eBay. They have always not allowed the bots and the scraping and the everything else. So they don't want people using agentic AI to list items. The reason for that is because you are giving the agentic AI your eBay password, your all this information, which gives it access to the back end. It's not a secure connection. They don't want, well, I mean, it's a secure connection on eBay, but this is not what they want. With us, we go through the production API. That's the highest level API there is. Before we get access to that API, and that's how we connect to eBay, we have to, number one, we're audited. So they don't just allow anyone in. They're audited. They want to see the software. And they frequently or can frequently audit you to make sure that you're doing the things that you say you are. We have a very strong working relationship with the eBay devs and the eBay development network. So that is primarily Travis, but a very strong connection with them. And all these changes, they don't affect us whatsoever. So we are production level software. We are working with eBay, and we have not only our customers' best interests at heart, but also theirs. We follow their safety, trust, and compliance. We follow everything that's required to maintain the API production level. We comply with all their audits. So this is not something that affects us at all. But there does have to be a crackdown on that sort of thing, because you start having to ask all these questions like, do these agents, are they secure? Are they compliant? Are they stealing data from eBay? You don't want, eBay is very clear about solds, for example. They don't want you scraping information that they say you are not allowed to have. So if people are doing it anyway, they're kind of reiterating, hey, you can't do this. You're not allowed to do this. We're going to shut it down. A lot of other companies, this is very technical talk, but a lot of other companies like BigCommerce, we've partnered with BigCommerce as well. They require an application to get access to the API. So there is even the tester devs APIs, they want to audit you first before you get any access whatsoever. eBay may move in that direction as well. They may move in that direction as well to protect their own IP, their own intellectual property. So that's largely what that surrounds. It really doesn't impact us whatsoever. At the end of the day, our connection to eBay is through Auth0, which is their secure connection. That's their requirement. So we don't collect any of that information, passwords, account names. We don't go into anyone's backend. We push information onto eBay. And then remember too, this says 100 million, but with the $200 million worth of items listed, that is, if 20% of that goes to eBay down the line, that's a $40 million contribution to their lifetime revenues, right? So we work with, everything is a mutually beneficial thing as far as that partnership is concerned, which has allowed us to have a very strong relationship with them. So that does not affect us whatsoever. If anything drastic were to happen within the APIs, or things that they changed, they would reach out to us first. I'm 100% sure and say, hey, look, we might need to do this and that, adjust. So, I hope that answers your question. Boop, 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 boop. Mike, that was a long answer to a short question. Axe Monkey Tammy says my external views are now more than my organic views. Yeah, Tammy, it's a very powerful thing that List Easier does. The offsite indexing gives you the benefit of another marketplace, the actual biggest marketplace, because it's where all the search happens, right? Or a lot of the search happens. And it's giving you access to that marketplace, those views, which a lot of them will convert, not all, but the views will convert to sales through the guest checkout. So, and again, this is something that benefits eBay. It benefits all the eBay sellers, that now you can have offsite conversions. This will increase sales on the platform. It's going to increase sales for all of you. It's a whole new world now. If 3% of people with buyer intent go to eBay to purchase something, what about the other 97%? How much of that happens on Google or within the LLMs? So we're after that traffic too, and we want to give it to you. So, and again, that this is Travis's, this goes all back to Travis. Robot Lag says hello. Good to see you, Robot Lag. Welcome, welcome. Biff says, I live between 1% to 2% of total revenue monthly based upon my total value listed. At my scale, a fraction of a percent means a lot. 2% is a feast, and 1% is closer to famine. Yeah, I think that a huge part of this, Biff, and let me know what you say, is the offsite. Really going after that offsite traffic. It's like driving on the service road beside the highway or the freeway. You drive on the road beside, you see all this traffic on the freeway, and you've got your lemonade stand on the service road or the road that is running parallel with the freeway, and you think, man, there's so much traffic on the freeway. I wish I could somehow capture that traffic and get them buying my lemonade. So this is kind of like what List Easier does with the offsite optimization. And you're saying just 1% difference can make a big difference. That 1% and more resides off the platform, in my opinion. That's not a knock on eBay. Like, we just go where the traffic is. So if the traffic's out there, arms around each other, eBay, List Easier, let's go get it together. And that only benefits the sellers. That's what we want. Does this make sense? Luke Coin says, hi, Josh. I asked the same question about payouts, and then you answered it right after, so I retracted what I said. Hopefully soon, Lou. Hopefully soon. No, not there yet. Eric, I gotta add you. I don't know if I can do it on my own live. I promised you to do that. And, I got John. Did you guys hear John talking? I gotta get you. Here we go. Eric, I'm gonna try here. Say something, Eric. Type something. Type something. We got you. I promised you and I did it. Promise is kept. Jared Rodeffer says, yeah, FBA is fraught with the risk of account deactivation. Yeah, totally. Can I do this here? Oh, that's so much better. FBA is fraught with the risk of account deactivation, says J.R. Rodeffer, and they keep your goods and money till you identify what you did and how to correct it backwards. I got out of FBA when I could return for free. Yeah, I've heard that. I think you can make a lot of money with Amazon, 100%. But there is always that risk, especially if you're doing retail arbitrage. If you're doing RA, it's probably riskier. Business is filled with risk. As operators, we're doing the dance. We're always trying to mitigate that risk. Biff says, Den Decor Depot says, good day, Josh. Snow preparation here. Then we'll be hunkered down and listing this weekend. Are we getting more snow? Are we supposed to get more snow? I'd rather not, if we can do without it, Den Decor. Because I don't think you're too far away from me. Or are you in the Carolinas? I don't remember now. Forgive me because I don't recall. What are we getting here? Yeah, snow. I see snow in the radar. I see snow. 55% chance. Hopefully not. Hopefully they're wrong. For us anyway. You guys can have it. Biff says, my concern for our approach is that returns diminish. It's almost by definition because great stuff sells quickly while lesser stuff lingers. We aren't Amazon because we sell one-offs. Yeah, there's always, it's just an operational thing. So if you have, for example, for us, we list consecutively, the boxes are going up consecutively. If we decide that this stuff has been sitting so too long in a box, we can start reducing. We can reduce it down to almost, to minimal profit if we have to. And if it still doesn't move, we can box it up, sell it wholesale. So really, that is just a logistical issue. We don't have to. We can. It's up to us. We can treat this whole business like an investment and say, hey, we got a warehouse with millions and millions of dollars worth of product. We can just sit here and wait for it to sell. We can be of the mindset that everything will sell. The returns are better than the stock market and everything else. And we just wait, as long as it's profitable, and a lot of times it's exponentially profitable, but as long as it's profitable, you can wait as long as you want, or you can back end it all out and then bring new inventory in and constantly recycle. Depends on your space, depends on your motivation, depends how you view your business. And each business is different, but to me, that's just like a procedure. If like right now, this $4,176, this already covers the entire buy and our wages and our wages, like our labor. So, and that's only 3 weeks in. Give it a year and let's see where it's at. Let's see where it's at. And if, after a year or two, we can decide at the back end, we start liquidating, we'll at least get what we paid for it. And do our best on the front end. And I think this is the key part, but do our best on the front end to get the best inventory possible. We have found that this works best with big partnerships where, we're dealing with big suppliers and they're like, no, this is really good inventory, but we don't have the systems or processes to get it all listed. So this is millions of pieces or hundreds of thousands of pieces. That really works well for us. Eric Bresci says, hit the like button and cha-ching. I don't know if that works on my channel. I don't know if that works. I think on my channel, you have to hit the list easier login button. And that's where you get your cha-chings. I don't think it works on the like button for me. But if you do want to show goodwill and hit the like button, I would appreciate that. Thank you. Derek W. Pat, the man with the sunglasses, is in the house. Says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Derek. Welcome. Andy Reno says, Mr. Galt. Hello. Andy, good to see you. As always, welcome, welcome. James says, I want to be a great tool. Heck yeah. Jared Rodeffer says, deal with others with a spirit of generosity and gratefulness. Your life will change for the better. I agree 100%. There is David Senra said this. So he does the Founders Podcast. And he went through all the 4 different things that destroy businesses, destroy great businesses and great minds. And that is in men. Okay, this is in men, but it can be women too. Alcohol, drugs, women, but for women we can say men, and megalomania. And megalomania, I think, is when you are no longer grateful for the people around you. You're like, I am the king. If it weren't for me, none of this would be possible. And sometimes you see that, you see that in like the Lehman Brothers. Like this is a large example where megalomania took the company out. You think you're bigger than the sound. I recognize those four things, and I always want to be grateful because it is. I do feel like I'm in a very fortunate position to be at the front of a tech company that's operating in AI, and also be a part of a very strong community of operators. Like, all these things are really amazing. Very grateful for it. I'm very, very grateful for it. Picker money flipper. Nice. We'll see how you're going to be a ticket taker. Well, we'll see how you're going to be a ticket taker. A ticket taker. A ticket taker. Thank you. Thank you. I think I would do that job well. I could be a ticket taker. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy the show. I think I could do it. Biff says, I'm fixing my existing listings, so I was interested in what you mentioned about markers you embedded. From what I've researched so far, nothing can exist of the title, item specifics, and description. So my question is, does your marker actually increase sales, or does it merely make LE listing identifiable? No, everything we do is strictly to, I'll give you the secret sauce. It is AIO. It's artificial intelligence optimization, and there are designations that we put in to appeal to that. Now, artificial intelligence optimization isn't a huge thing right now. It will be in the future. When you look at eBay's listings, there is a lot of artificial intelligence optimization. In our listings, there's only a little bit. So that's really the secret sauce, Biff. We don't do anything self-serving. So we talked about this way before we went out. We're like, hey, we can put metadata and put list easier in the metadata on pictures, or we could put a little list easier watermark, or we could all these different things. And then we sat down and we said, no, it is anything that is a risk to the customer and is purely self-serving. We're not doing it. We have a mission. We're going to stick by the mission. Does it benefit our customer? If the answer is no, we don't do it. And that's our mission forward. So we don't put anything in listings, or we don't add anything or anything else like that. We don't do it for self-serving. It's AIO. It's artificial intelligence optimization. The reason why we do that is because we are expecting in the future that to have a huge impact on listings. So we optimize for the sale, but we're also optimizing for that, because that is going to dramatically increase over time, I believe. Behind the Bubble Wrap says, howdy folks, stay warm. It is cold out there. It is cold. Biff says, mild-eyed melancholy. I'm getting better at saying that. Do you have a metric for how valuable an external view is versus organic? External views don't convert as well because the intent isn't always there. You should say, fire away. You said to fire away with questions. I'm glad you're doing it. It actually makes it easier for me. This is a good question. It makes it easier for me to do the show when you fire away. Do you have a metric for how valuable an external view is versus organic? External views don't convert as well because the intent isn't always there. I would argue that the intent isn't always there. I would argue that assumption is incorrect. Now, do we have a metric for how valuable an external view is versus an internal view? We don't have a metric for that. When someone searches, let's say Google or one of the LLMs, I got to think of an example. Like, let's go to trusty old Alice in Chains. So if I search Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies, great album, and I looked that record up and I want to know about the song, like why did the song, It's Over Now, like what does that pertain to? I start asking questions. My my intent is interest. So it's almost like advertising where I'm searching this stuff up, which means I'm interested in it, which means I do have latent buyer intent. So in the case of offsite optimization, it's not like the typical ad where somebody puts in tape gun and all of a sudden an Alice in Chains record shows up. Like that's promoting, and that's just like that is what they call what's the word for it? I forget it, but it's basically too broad. Sorry, broad advertising. It doesn't work. You want narrow niche advertising. So when your listings show up, the buyer or the search person or the buyer or the prospect or whatever may not have buying intent, but they have interest intent. I would argue the same is for almost for eBay, many times I search on eBay out of interest without buying intent, but if I see something I like, I'm going to buy it. So you're at least getting yourself in front of the person who's looking for the item. That's really what the offsite optimization is all about. So if you are selling, I don't know, ceramic bears from the 1980s, people who are typically on the search engines looking for ceramic bears 1980s because that's their passion and interest are going to see your item. Those are the people you want to see your item. And I would argue that that audience is bigger on offsite than what it is on eBay itself. So, correct. Are they searching specifically to buy that item? No. However, you are still optimized for the crowd that likes that kind of thing off-site. You're being shown to them. And it's only a matter of time before one of them buys. If there's 100 people like me looking for this Alice in Chains album, if I go onto eBay, that record, they're going to show me probably 1,000 versions of that record. On Google, I might see 2 or 3. And what we're fighting for is to get you up to the top, not only for product, but period. As in, you want to know about this Jar of Flies album. One of the top results is this eBay webpage because the information is so dense and so specific, so keyword rich, and so integrated. So that's really what the intent is with offsite. The conversion metrics, you'll see that better on your own page, your own eBay page, than what we would. We can only see it on our own accounts. This is a good question. You got me thinking about it. When I answer slow, I want to answer carefully because I don't want to say anything that is not only untrue, but I don't want to paint things with a broad brush, but I do want to answer precisely. Eric Westy says, hello, gracias. He's got the wrench, the Poconos of Pennsylvania, says Den Decor. Nice. Got an alert for up to 12 inches in Ohio. My daughter in Chicago is supposed to get 21 inches. Keep it down there, please. Although I think Chicago is higher than what Niagara Falls is. I think it's so in the Niagara Falls area, either we get dumped on like massive amounts or we don't. Specifically where I live, if Lake Erie freezes over, that's when it's the worst. So the biggest storms that we've ever had in this region, Lake Erie has frozen over, a ton of snow has fallen, and then the winds pick up. And what happens is it blows all the snow off of Lake Erie and dumps it into this region. And we've had big storms, like 8 feet of snow in those kinds of situations. But I don't think the lakes are frozen right now. 12 plus in the Poconos of Pennsylvania, 12 plus inches. Derek W. Pat says, here in Texas, we might be screwed with power outages for a full day or 3. Man, I hope not. I know Chris, Buck Mountain Barn you can check him out on eBay if you want. He was saying that South Carolina was expecting a lot of snow, 8 inches, which is rare for there. Biff says the problem with waiting for an item to sell at large scale is that buyers get scrolling fatigue. If they have to scroll past bad items, they may never uncover the item they didn't know they wanted. Yeah, that is true for on-site. That is true for on-site. So if you are the mindset that in order to sell your items, the buyer has to go to eBay, search, find your store specifically, then go into your store and then start searching through your store, and they're like, this person has hundreds of thousands of items, they may get fatigued. I don't think that's buyer behavior anymore. Buyer behavior is strictly impulsive. So they see what they want and they buy it. Or interactive, which is the case with live selling, where they feel like they're part of something and they're having fun and they're enjoying it. But largely buying is impulsive. We are in this time now where we have this opportunity to put our items in front of buyers who might not have seen it anymore, or people with latent intent, offsite, that have never, they don't buy on eBay. They don't really know about eBay. They certainly are not going to suffer from that fatigue. The LLMs are the same thing. And also, when you talk about scrolling fatigue, if you are optimizing on site, I mean, some things we can't control. If a buyer is sick and tired of an item, you can't control that, but you can still get your item to the top of the search results. You can get your item to the top of search results off-site. Like, how incredible is it off-site that your eBay listing is considered like the authority on the subject for that item because it's so content rich? That placement is incredible. And we're just at the very start of that. So you have a lot of people saying their offsite organic views are up, their sales are way up, but a lot of that is coming from offsite. It's people going through the guest checkout, the Google checkout. 10 Hemlock says, good afternoon. Just another hobby seller here. Welcome, hobby seller. Good to see you. Rin Resale says, now that your true last name is out, your cool nickname would be the artist formerly known as Josh Galt. Yeah. Or the Flying Dutchman. Once I fully get my pilot's license, I can be the Flying Dutchman. Legitimately be the Flying Dutchman. Beard King Picker says, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Beard, what was the question, Alex? I don't see what the question was. What are you yes, I am to? Yes, I am. Eric Bressy says, in the roadmap, is there a list easier spring summer reseller meetup in the future? I don't know. So that's a really good question. I don't think we'd host a meetup, but I would like to attend meetups like eBay Open. I just like meeting people. Like, I want to meet all of you, so I enjoy doing those kinds of things. As far as like sponsored events or us throwing a big party or anything like that, maybe down the line sometime. It's not in our immediate future. We still have so much infrastructure we can build. And, sometimes sponsoring these events, it's a lot of money. It's $5,000, $10,000, $40,000, $50,000. That money would have to come from somewhere, which would be an increase in probably the fees, right? We don't want to do that. Like, again, does that benefit our customer? No, it doesn't. Well, we're committed to the pricing strategy that we have. We want to make it accessible to everyone. So those kind of nice to haves, it takes it, we can't do it, or it's off the table for now. Maybe down the line, once the document is spitting back out a lot, then we can have that conversation. But certainly I will attend events. I had a great time at eBay Open. I hung out with John and Mike the entire time. Mike Camparelli and John Flippin' Ain't Easy. We had a blast. We had lunch together. We laughed and joked around the entire time. We hung out. It was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun. even though I was only a few weeks off of my brain injury, so I was not 100% myself. But we had a pile of fun there. Uh, I would like to do more of that. I met so many people at eBay Open, just great, interesting people. Uh, those are my people. I can talk to them for hours because we're interested in the same things. They just it's fun. I like to do that. I really do enjoy that. But I don't think we're going to be hosting anything with List Easier. We are just too in this intensive build moment right now. We're building. We are. That's got to be our focus. Um. Oh, there's the man. There's the man there. Pegasus Lounge in the house. Mason T says organic is the highest value because it can come from ads or innate demand. More sales ranks a listing higher. Therefore, organic equals free wins. Hello, Josh. So what Mason is saying is that, and I've heard him talk about this. This is especially true for. Now I may be off course here. I may get blown off course, but I'm going to tie this back into what I know. With replenishable listings, or if you are developing your own product, it never makes any sense. And we've heard Charlie Goki say this as well, Lou Coins, who does replenishables. It does not make sense to constantly break the link to that listing. So if you are, let's say, selling coffee cups, I'm making it up, but you want your coffee cup listing to rank the highest. So think about that EEAT. One of it is trust, expertise, authoritative. All these things push it up. And once you show the platforms that you can consistently sell this item, it builds up like a level of validity. This becomes your baby. This listing is your perfect baby. And you make tiny, tiny little adjustments so that it appeals more and it ranks higher. That's the meat and potatoes to replenishable listings. So the thing that I have an issue with is there are people who do have multi-quantity and they have their own product and they keep breaking the listing, ending and relisting. It makes no sense because it's like starting over all over again. Why would you spend all this time perfecting something just to get rid of it and then put it back up again? It makes no sense. I would argue even on one-offs that it doesn't make any sense. People say, well, it refreshes the listing, but if you're already creating a perfectly optimized listing that's optimized for offsite and onsite, it may not be that the listing, it doesn't need to be refreshed. It just either might not be desirable. It might not be the right time. If you're selling a unique one-off, you got to wait for that buyer to show up. So the end and relist, I don't understand that. I think that maybe it benefits a little bit non-optimized listings, but it's not something I do. And it's not something we would ever do for private label or replenishable. Ever, ever, ever. And I do want to say for the document, I want to make this clear. I don't care if it's a replenishable listing, private label, or one-offs. We do it all. There are parts of this warehouse we don't show. There's a reason for that. We do it all. It just has to make sense in our numbers. Lou says hi to Mason. Greetings, says B Nudes. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Lag says, I'm to the point shopping. I won't scroll at all. If it's not above the fold, I won't even see it. A lot of people have that. Lag. A lot of people have that. So Lag saying if it's not in the first five spots, I don't buy it. There are the best buyers. The best buyers manage their time correctly. I find the worst buyers, and they're all great. Buyers are great. Send them our way. The worst buyers are the ones who value money over time. They will argue with you back and forth to save $1. Good buyers are like, this is what I want. They buy it and they move on and that's it. Those buyers live above the fold. on eBay, but they also live above the fold offsite. There are so many people out there that if the item is $25 or $30, they don't care. Off-site, that comparison isn't readily available. There's a reason why Abe Books sells $200 million worth of books every single year. They have mastered off-site, and they're a one-off seller, Mason, by the way, but they've mastered off-site optimization. They've mastered it. So when you search for a 16th century book, that may exist on eBay for $70, but Abe Books has it on Google for $1,200. The people that don't go to eBay think that's a $1,200 book. They'll buy it. They want it. That's an extreme example, but it exists. It exists. Right, James, Josh Broken is ahead of me, says Scott. Have you recovered from your brain injury? Can't seem to tell. That was a good one, Scott. Well done. Megan Farrell says, I've missed the live so much, soaking in the lost time. It's so awesome seeing you succeed in your goals, Josh, and supporting everyone else at the same time. Thank you. So I want to say, first of all, Megan, thank you very much for saying that. I am facing this camera, but there are also two partners and Spencer the Oracle that, we walk in a line together. I mean, it's all of us. Also, there's no such thing as success, if it's not for all of you. If you guys aren't succeeding, if you're not getting these kind of numbers that we're seeing in the chat, these kind of returns, then this whole broadcast would turn into people roasting me. They'd be blowing me apart. And rightfully so, rightfully so. So I think that to me, I'm very grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful for that. But thank you very much. And I want to see everybody succeed as well. We're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. I want to see everybody succeed. I really want to see everybody succeed. I just want to see that growth, man, for everyone. I really do. Talking about brain injuries. Biff says, we can't know external conversions for sure. We can only infer by someone's account history. Correct. Yeah. It's not scientific, not even close. Totally agree. Yeah. So someone could just sign up on eBay and buy from you and be like, oh, this is an offsite purchase. You don't know. I think the only time you can get a half decent inferral, Biff, is when it's like the person's name is Josh _ XYZ, and then there's this huge long string of numbers. No one in their right mind would create that as their eBay account, right? No one's going to be like, I'll make this complicated thing that almost looks like a Bitcoin key. That's my name for eBay. So when you see those kind of checkouts, those are probably guest checkouts. They're just creating an account for the guest checkout, and then it gets deleted and never used again, which is why it's got this string of character behind it. But aside from that, yeah, it's not an exact science. It's definitely a little bit of voodoo science. James says, I'm at a local gas station waiting to make a buy, and I think the person got lost. Has anybody ever seen full serve anymore at gas stations? I think I like the idea of full serve. If there was full serve, I think I would use it, even if it was a little bit more. Tammy says, I had multi-quantity listings lose the sales data. eBay reps said my listing was 6 months stale, showing no history. Wish I had access to that report all the time. I don't know. Whenever, if there's a listing that has great sales history, I just think that I don't think that it goes stale like like bread, like a perishable item. I just think that somebody created something better. Somebody created a better listing and then outcompeted, and then they took the top spot. That's what I think happens. So I have replenishable listings. We have replenishable listings, but they, in my case, they've fallen. And I know why, because when I search, I see that someone's offering more for cheaper and the listing looks better. It's just that I've done nothing about it. So I think that's what happens also. Axe Monkey says, I know I sold at least one, but listing said no sold. Oh, interesting. Pegasus Lounge says hi to everyone. Says Josh equals spot on. Thank you, Pegasus Lounge. Appreciate you. You've put me in a very difficult situation with my friends, by the way. So I put me in a very hard spot. Put me in a tight spot, and I think you know it. Binut says, I have a fella from South Africa, Afrikaans, over and over asking why EIS won't allow me to ship to South Africa. I don't know why. Is that excluded from their countries? Lower Your Heating Bill says, if you have a product that isn't selling, would you recommend to relist it with List Easier? The goal of List Easier is this. Optimize your listings for on-site and off-site rank, which has a whole slew of things underneath it, including surfaceability, searchability, discoverability, the EEAT content within the description, all these things, right? So that comes with the whole thing, but it's the design of the software is to optimize your listing for a sale on-site and off-site. That's the number one thing it does. Number two, it saves you a lot of time. So rather than you having to do this yourself and figure it all out, it saves you all that time. And well, those are the two main. There's one more thing which was less important, but that's like the primary two things. If you have a product that isn't selling, it may be that the product is the problem. It could be the price, I don't know. It could be the product or the price, but you will have, I got to watch what I say because I don't want to say, yes, lower your heating bill. It will sell if you use List Easier. I don't want to say that. That would be a false claim. I'd be lying to you. That wouldn't be right. But the goal of the software is to optimize for rank on and off site. Essentially, it puts it in front of more customers. And it saves you time so that you don't have to do it. It makes it so listing is no longer a bottleneck. So you can do other things. Either list more if you want to, or work on other projects, other things that you need to do for your business, like taxes, So that's what I want to say about that. It's meant to optimize your listing. But if the listing is bad, so if you're selling something I can buy at the Dollar General for $1, and you're selling it for $14 online plus $7.99 shipping, List Easier might not help you. Right? It probably won't. And Jeanette, we're going to end here, says the hard part is I have to end listings when I travel and go off the grid for 2 months. eBay doesn't have an option for this. Where are you going, Jeanette? Let us know in the next episode. Where are you going for 2 months? We all want to know. Everyone, thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate you all, and we will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The document